October 23rd, 2018, regular Selectmen's meeting. As Selectmen Ken Manning and Rebecca England will not be here tonight. As obviously Ed and Mark and I are here. As we have town manager, town clerk. I saw various members of the town crew and management out there, and quite a bit of people from the audience.
Thank you.
Is please stand with me and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. Please turn all your cell phones and electronic devices off, please. Our first order of business is the approval of the October 9th minutes.
So moved with an addendum to add myself to the roll call again.
Did I miss you again?
You did. Yeah.
Second it.
You're a very memorable person.
I guess, huh?
My apologies.
That's all right.
At least I won't have to change it from last time.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I agree.
Is no discussion, other than the amendment of adding Ed to the roll call. Is all those in favor? Thank you. We're gonna have a public comment period, but we also are gonna have public comment during the public hearing on the warrant. So unless you have something specific to say other than what's on the warrant, we'll get to your business later. First public comment is 15 minutes long. If you have a public comment, please step to the microphone, state your name, where you live in Berwick, and address any questions through the chair. Is there any public comment?
Good evening, Terry Wright, live on Cemetery Road. I just want to remind everyone that next Tuesday, November 30th, is the trunk or treat, and BCTV will have our room open down here. It will be decorated. We're inviting families to come in to see yourselves on BCTV, so they can actually see themselves on the television, check out the control room, and get some candy as well. Cars will be parked out front. You got the fire station that you can visit, and there will be other locations as far as downtown that will be open. So we hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further public comment? Hearing none, I'll close that. What I'll do for the public hearing is this is for the November 6th, 2018 town referendum election. I'll read down through the referendum questions, and then we'll open it up for any comments. Any questions before we start? Not yet. Hey, not yet. Not yet. Thank you.
Questions on there, so we
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah. Article 1 is to elect a moderator to preside over the meeting. Article 2, shall the town vote to adopt amendments to the land use ordinance regarding medical marijuana? The Board of Selectmen recommends a yes vote, 5-0. Article 3, shall the town vote to adopt the proposed amendments to the land use ordinance? The Board of Selectmen recommends a yes vote, 5-0. Article 4, shall the town vote to designate any town-owned property a safe zone as described in Title 17A, subsection 1101, and Title 30A, section 3253.
Isn't that kind of a crazy thing that you have to ask to put in there? You see it? It's ridiculous. Signs out.
I'll read the note. Is Title 17A, subsection 1101 reads, safe zones mean any athletic field, park, playground, or recreation facility that is designated as a safe zone by a municipality pursuant to Title 30A, section 3253. Title 30A, section 3253 reads, a municipality may designate an area of its municipality that is frequented by minors as a safe zone under Title 17A, Section 1101, subsection 23. A safe zone designated pursuant to this section must be conspicuously marked by the municipality with an informational sign using wording provided by the Commissioner of Public Safety. Drug crimes committed within 1,000 feet of a safe zone have increased penalties. The Board of Selectmen recommends a yes vote of 5-0.
But why would that be? You know what I mean? It's a kind of a good thing. It just happened.
Article 5, to see if the town will vote to, 1, approve the design, construction, and improvements of a new fire station and the design, construction, improvements for a police department building renovation, including all other reasonable costs related thereto, together the project. 2, appropriate a sum not to exceed $6 million for the cost of the project. 3, to fund this appropriation, authorize the Board of Selectmen to issue at one time or from time to time general obligation securities of the town of Berwick, Maine, including temporary notes in anticipation of the sale thereof and refunding obligations in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6 million. The financial statement is outstanding bonds, $1,125,000. Is bonds issued, if this is approved, $6 million for a total of $7,125,000. An estimated interest rate of 3.75 of the estimated cost of the bond will be principal $6 million, interest $2,742,594 for a total of $8,742,564. The validity of the bond or the voters' ratification of the bond may not be affected by any errors of the above estimate. If the actual amount of the total debt service for the bond issue varies from the estimate, the ratification by the electors is nevertheless conclusive, and the validity of the bond issue is not affected by reason of the variance. The Board of Selectmen recommends a yes vote, 5-0. And then Article 6. Article 6 is an advisory referendum question, is non-binding opinion poll. If Article 5 funding is approved by the voters of the town of Berwick, should the town build the new fire station on the property that consists of 6 acres located on Cemetery Road, or the property known as the Estabrook School, 20 Wilson Street? And vote for 1, Cemetery Road or Estabrook School. So that's the warrant. I'll open it up for public comment. As I said, please step to the microphone, give us your name, and address all questions and concerns through the chair. First up. I know there are questions out there.
Brandon Morrill. I live at 26 Cemetery Road in Berwick. A couple of things. One, of the 3 houses that my family owns there, only one of them received this. That was brought up last time. The P.O. boxes didn't get it. The other thing is, what attached cost to putting on Cemetery Road isn't here, because the bid that we saw last time looked like it was padded to make both properties look like they cost the same. There were things added to the Estabrook School property that need to be done regardless, and they were not on the Cemetery Road. The demolition of the building that's at the Estabrook was added to that
Was that
bid.
for that cost?
And then it was not added to the Cemetery Road, and it was said that that needed to be done anyway.
There's no demolition at the Cemetery Road.
Right, but it was said that that property at that building at the Estabrook School, either way, the town was gonna have to pay for it to be demolitioned.
Well, no,
No.
if we,
At some point, it was something that's gonna have to be done
Not unless we
regardless.
sold it.
Not unless you sold it, okay.
Right,
The other thing
right.
is, the updates to roads, and the fire chief made the point that he'd like to see Riddlin Road updated in the next couple of years if they were on Cemetery Road. That's a cost that the taxpayers will have to shoulder if it goes on Cemetery Road, along with road widening and the update for the weight. I know that fire trucks are exempt from the weight restriction, But as we've seen from the construction companies that we have that run dump trucks down roads, those roads take a bigger pounding, which means they need to be built to handle the weight of that vehicle on the regular. Along with, it was brought up that if it was on Cemetery Road, across from the cemetery, that during funerals and stuff, there will be a fire truck pulling out of the fire station, sirens blaring whenever a call happens, where now it's only if a call happens in a small section of Berwick that there's a fire truck going down there. The road is narrow and doesn't really account for walking traffic and fire truck traffic at the same time. And that cost is not in the bid that we saw. So from my eyes, the bid looks padded to make both properties look like they cost the same. And the building was also designed to go on Cemetery Road, using the same design for both properties, which I did construction for 15 years, and that's not how a company would usually address that.
The
Nothing was padded, number one, okay? That's just how the numbers we got in, came out.
Just ironically are the same.
Some infrastructure costs for Cemetery Road, and we took in the cost for demolition, and whatever it takes down here. And
So-
it basically comes out around the same.
Infrastructure costs, you mean upgrading roads to handle it? Because Cemetery Road will only handle X amount of time of a fire truck running regularly down it before. It doesn't have to be repaved.
Down Cemetery Road.
Before, it doesn't have to just be repaved. It has to be excavated and built up.
I don't know about that, but they're gonna dig up the road to put the water line to it, so I'm sure they'd upgrade the road at that time. Whether that's in the cost or not, I'm not sure.
Well, a water line, that means a pump house, right?
no need for a pump house, there's plenty of pressure coming from the tank.
All right.
And as far as the cost is, the cost of demolition, the demolition of the Estabrook School, that cost would only be borne by the town if we were to build there. Is if we don't build the fire station there has been some discussion with other developers of buying that parcel, and
Right.
they would be responsible for any demolition that they had to do there. Is if the town holds on to it for any length of time, I would imagine that we would have to do some demolition there, but that's not in the near future that I can see.
And
As far as the cost on Cemetery Road, is the cost for the water line is included in the projected costs, and that was taken into account also, that would be rebuilding the road at that same time.
well, and you're looking at upgrading that half of it where the water line's gonna run.
Right.
And not necessarily the entire road.
No,
Right.
we would do the whole road.
You'd pave the whole road, but there's a difference between
It's all gonna be
paving
reclaimed.
and bringing it up to a state standard like where it is now.
And as far as running fire trucks over it, living on Cemetery Road,
I-
the number of big trucks, construction vehicles that go over Cemetery Road probably far exceeds the number of any, runs
I
by a
mean,
fire station.
There's no big construction companies that use it as their primary travel.
Well, when there's construction going on, they do it. I can
Well,
sit at my
right.
house and I can count, several dump trucks a day
Right,
going
when
up
they're
and
doing
down.
construction there, same as if they had a fire call out on Tall Timbers,
Right.
they would travel Cemetery Road. But when construction is going on Pine Hill Road, they won't be traveling down that. But those are my concerns that I think hasn't been addressed. But, all right, thank you.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Anybody else?
Larry Kerr. I live on Cranberry Road. I'm looking at this, and I guess it's not really clear to me, for example, in Article 2, what is the amendment that we're voting on?
For Article 2?
Yeah, well, and also for Article 3. It's not clear to me what the actual amendment is that we're going to be voting on.
The article, I have it in here, is Article 2 concerns medical marijuana and recreational marijuana. It regulates storefronts as far as where they can be and how they can advertise. And it also Said medical marijuana cooperatives and medical marijuana production facilities are allowed in the R3 zone only on properties which have frontage on Route 9 or 4. So basically what we're doing is restricting where these facilities can go. We can't stop them necessarily, but we can restrict where they go so that
Right.
we don't have them spread all over town, and we can control where they are.
Okay.
So, and then as far as Article 3 is, let's see, Article 3, there's some changes in the Village Overlay District, which is basically the downtown area here, and it says, residential uses in new buildings shall not exceed a 4-to-1 ratio of residential to non-residential use measured by constructed floor space. And this statistic is tracked by the planning department and updated as new permits are issued. This ratio pertains to the 7.7 acre parcel formerly known as Prime Tanning, instructions contained with frontage on Wilson Street, School Street, and Sullivan Street. So in other words, is if their new building goes up, it cannot be all residential. It has to have some commercial or retail space in it.
Whole bottom floor,
Is, and
basically what it's gonna be.
And a second part of that concerns multiple manufactured homes or mobile homes on individual lots. Is recently up on School Street, we had a place where 3 mobile homes were put in close proximity to each other. And under our existing ordinance, that is allowed. What this would do, this would make it so that that could no longer be, anything with multiple units on it would have to be qualified as a mobile home park, which has different standards. And then the third part is an amendment concerning farm animals defined and regulated through definition. It also includes the downtown area, R1 district, which goes up to, I think, up Pine Hill to the Cemetery Road area, and then out behind where the Catholic Church used to be, out in there, the R1 area. And this comes about because we've had a problem with somebody in the R1 that has 5 pigs in their backyard. And the neighbors have been complaining, so this is an attempt to regulate that, is to make sure that any large animals are not in that zone, and to make it so that we have more teeth in our ordinance to enforce that. So, and let's see. And also is we have odor control. And this comes about twofold. One is from the marijuana facilities we have. There had been some complaints about odor, but this also relates to the farm animals also. And this covers all of Berwick, not just the downtown area, so that it's no use may, as a result of normal operation, regularly emit odors that are offensive or harmful by reason of their character, intensity, or duration, and that are perceptible beyond the lot line. No odor may be considered offensive if it is commonly associated by way of character, intensity, or duration that with a permitted use in the zoning district in which it is located. Odors commonly associated with a permitted use may not be perceptible beyond the zoning district boundary unless the use is permitted in an adjacent zoning district. So basically, it's to control. We've had a lot of complaints, especially about the facility up on Route 9. There are times when you can smell the odor out as far as Guinea Road and Blackberry Hill Road. That facility has gone under further zoning, and the owners agreed to install the odor control there, and I don't believe I've heard of any other complaints since they installed
They
it.
haven't finished it yet.
No, they haven't
He
finished
was
it.
in this week, yeah.
Yeah,
Said he was in the process of doing it.
so,
I guess, in general, my concern is there some place where this information is available?
It's on
To
the
us?
town website, is,
I wasn't able to find it.
Mr. Kerr contacted me via email, and I sent him.
I mean, I found this, and I found a sample ballot, but there's no details on this.
It's posted at the library, the transfer station, and the post office, and at town hall.
Well, the warrant was online, but the details, the information, they are now?
They've always been.
I didn't
Two
s-
exhibits.
I didn't see them on there.
For elections, you'll see upcoming elections. It'll have the state information, the town information.
You're saying this information that's on this multiple page sheet is there?
Yep, the sample ballot's there, and then both exhibits are there with links.
Okay, I was not able to find it. I looked and looked for it. I
Yeah,
found
I-
the sample ballot.
I know that feeling, sir.
I just have one other comment since I'm standing here, but, on the bond issue, you're estimating the interest rate at 3.75%. Is that still a reasonable interest rate, since I know interest rates have been going up significantly?
The last time we talked to them, what was it, 3.5?
Yeah, I ran it, I got those numbers from the Maine Bond Bank. I run a amortization schedule, and they actually start out at 2% for a few years, and it drops down. The maximum would be 4% much later in the bond, but that's not a true number, because they can't predict what the bond bank will have.
Right, I understand. So you feel that that's a reasonable
I'm hoping
number
that's a
to use
reasonable amount.
as the estimate? Thank you.
Not a problem.
Have a good night, thanks.
Any further questions, comments? Okay, please step to the microphone and give your name.
My name is Leanna Simo. I live on Diamond Hill Road. I wasn't sure if I missed it, so I'm sorry if you went over it. Where do we find the details of Article 2?
Article 2 is that's what we were just talking about.
I printed this out online,
Yep, that's it.
but I couldn't find the details of the land use
The
regarding
existing land use.
regarding medical marijuana. Are we going to adopt the one that is currently for the town of Berwick land use? Are we changing it, or are we?
But we're gonna.
Amend-
vote for
amend the
land
existing one.
Use to, that what we just read.
Okay,
Yeah, we have ordinances on the book. This is an amendment to those ordinances. No, to update it and to clarify. No, there's still a lot of uncertainty at the state level.
okay.
So we've been trying to guess what is going to happen, and we haven't been able to, get a firm handle on that. So this is just some things that have come through with talking to other towns, looking at other, ordinances, things like that, and see what other towns are doing, trying to get a handle on this so that, we're not caught, short-handed.
I don't think they're gonna let us put our own, like, Berwick have a special tax on it. They're not gonna allow us to do that. But they're gonna charge them a tax, and then we'll get, I think it's 2%, right?
Something like that is proposed.
2% back.
Started off at
Proposed, I
5.
don't think it's definitive at this
Yeah, so
point, so.
it'll probably be a 0.5%.
Would this be an appropriate time to ask about some clarification on the land use for medical marijuana, or is that later? Ordinance?
Concerning the existing ordinance?
Yeah, I
or-
just was kind of curious if medical marijuana growth was legal in Berwick.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is.
it is, we can't prohibit medical marijuana. At a state level, we can't prohibit it, correct?
And then I didn't see anything about recreational marijuana for sale. the land?
Recreational marijuana, the state hasn't finished their, the bill out with their regulations. They
Okay,
were supposed to be done by February. What I'm
2 years
hearing-
ago now.
Yeah, now they're saying it probably won't be done until next fall. So they just can't seem to get it together.
okay, that's fine. And then am I correct in my understanding that the odor control, you spoke that it has to do with animals? Does that also have to do with
Medical marijuana.
medical marijuana?
Right.
And what would be defined as a
Offensive
an offensive odor?
You smell
Well,
it, you smell it in your boundary.
It-
you
Subjective,
don't like
it's
it,
highly
so
subjective.
I have a dairy farm next to me, so that doesn't bother me a bit, but what is it, you don't like the smell of it.
Yeah, is there any place where it references groundwater or people that have well water?
I'm not sure about the existing ordinance.
Okay,
No.
all right, thank you.
Not a problem. Any further questions, comments?
Brandon Morrow, 26 Cemetery Road. So I didn't realize that they were doing an odor control. I live on a piece of property that's got grandfathered animals there. It's not zoned for it. Is the odor control going to affect us? We've had animals for, I think, 60 or 70 years on that property.
Yeah, at least that long.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I dealt with your grandfathers down
Right,
there.
right. And if he was still alive, he would be down here and
Right.
he'd be having a
Right.
big fit about that.
No, it's an R2
Yeah.
zone.
That won't be an issue then.
Even so, if we don't have a complaint, we're not
Yeah.
gonna bother.
Well, but the problem is if a piece of property gets sold, so the neighbors at this point don't have a complaint, right? But if somebody was to sell their house to somebody moving up here from Massachusetts, and all of a sudden now there's a problem, you know, that's,
I know the feeling.
you know, that's, we've had animals there since longer than most of the people that live in town have been alive.
Right.
I gotta say, you're probably more than 100 years at that property. Yeah.
Right, and most of Pine Hill at that point was owned by the
Buy a house
family.
or something, you don't like the smell of it, why would you buy the house?
Right, but, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that even if they did buy the house and then complain about it, the law you're putting
Where you guys, where the Morrows live down there, that's R2, I
Right.
believe. And you're permitted to have the animals. And so, for my reading,
I was under the understanding that we were grandfathered, and that's the
Right.
only way we're allowed to have the animals on that property.
it says,
we're
well,
zoned residential.
it says, no odor may be considered offensive if it is commonly associated by way of character, intensity of duration with a permitted use. So if you have a permitted use.
Right, okay.
Cow
right.
shit smells like cow shit.
Right, absolutely. Yeah,
To
yeah.
put it bluntly.
I just wanted to make sure that wasn't something that, because it wasn't stated in that way on the.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Well, not being too clear.
Oh, I talk about the dog shit, I mean, the hush shit.
No, well, cow
Cow
shit.
shit.
Hi, me again. I had another question. Okay, so I was going through the land ordinance for land use because I never thought about medical marijuana in our town until I saw it on the ballot. And it's, I don't know what page 33, it says the land use table. I live in zone R3.
Right.
And so R3 says there is zero, you're not allowed to have a medical marijuana cooperative or a medical marijuana dispensary or a medical marijuana production facility. So in zone R3, is medical marijuana not allowed?
It's talking about commercial,
Okay,
you know, and it's allowed in R3 on Route 9 and Route 4 is as far as individual caregivers, I believe the state regulations cover that. And so whatever the state regulations, now they're down to 3 plants,
Five
5 plants or
something, I don't
something, you know. As long as don't have a full-fledged business, it's still regulated under the state medical marijuana laws, I believe.
okay. So if you're selling it or distributing it in any way for medical use within zone R3, it's against our town regulations? Do you want me to hand it? I just want to be sure that I
Route 4 and
understand it.
Route 4 and Route 9,
Okay,
that's the only place you can have it.
and if you're not,
In that road,
Okay,
forget it. Well,
great.
I don't know about that, maybe down.
Got to pass first.
it's what?
It's got to pass first.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I think I'm done. Okay.
Not a problem, they're here to answer questions.
Hi, Susan Morse, Jordan Street. I just wanted a clarification on medical marijuana. I was unaware that the state allows medical marijuana storefronts. Is that what this is saying? That it can be sold like it's any other store?
I believe that is what the state is working on. They have the medical marijuana laws already on the books. And so what we're doing is we're just taking what they have and crafting it for the town of Berwick. And yes, they can have storefronts as
Medical.
medical storefronts, not recreational.
They
is-
can, I was unaware of that. So
Yes.
you can open it up like any other retail store?
No, you gotta have a medical card
Yeah,
issued to the state, and then you can. Medically, if there's something you need it for, then you're okay.
okay.
And is, what some towns are doing is they're looking, on the recreational side, is they're getting ready for, the state allowing it, is some towns are only allowing one, facility. And some towns are looking at having like a lottery system in order to award that, because there's a lot of money involved in this. And, it brings in a lot of people from out of state, and I think the state is trying to, contain it to as much of Maine citizens as we can, so that's my understanding as far as where the state is with that.
Okay, and so just to be clear, if I have a medical marijuana card and I'm a caregiver, which I can grow, 5 plants, times 5 is 30 plants.
Well,
It's a lot of plants.
I don't know what the.
That's what the,
details are about it.
so I can, if I'm in zone, I guess,
You do it out of your house?
well, but my understanding is that as a caregiver, I'm just supposed to grow for family and friends, and it's not really a money-making business. But this is talking about storefronts, and I'm wondering, is it something where if I have a medical marijuana card, I can open up a storefront and have a cash register and take money?
From the town and go
Okay.
through all that, but yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
I went out to Colorado. I drove from Provo to Denver a couple weeks ago to the Rockies. So when I come down into Colorado, from Utah to come down in, and the fires were up there. So I saw a sign that said fresh peaches. You know how they are, fresh. So I come down. I pulled into the side road, and then I cut another side road and look at the peach trees, like a little stand there, and all of a sudden I'm smelling this marijuana. And I look to my left, and it's like 150 acres of it growing. And it's unbelievable to see. You wouldn't believe it out there. And what they said to me was I stopped at one of the gas lines. They were putting new gas, big gas lines in through because of the amount of gas they had up there. And he said it's made the youth lazier. There's not the drive to work since it's been, since it legalized it down. That's just what they told me. So they do a joint and go get a Red Bull. What are you gonna do? I don't know. For crying out loud. It's just like, whatever.
Questions on the fire?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different.
Nice.
Times have
I don't know.
changed.
This is your chance, ask us questions.
I'm Judy. I live on Old Sanford Road. I have a question, and I'd like some explanation on Article 6, where it says non-binding,
On the,
where the citizens get to choose the fire station.
it is, we talked about having either a binding or a non-binding question. The problem with having a binding question is if, say, people chose one site or the other, and then we could not use that site for some reason, then we would have to go all back out to vote again to re-vote this because we are restricted to that one site. By doing this, it's non-binding, and then the selectmen will take into account the vote, at least I will. And if it's separated by a couple of votes, then it'll be a tough decision. But I have a feeling that it's gonna be separated by more than just a couple votes. It won't be such a tough decision. But speaking with the lawyers and the bond people, is if we put it out as a binding article and something happens, is say they discover that there's an excessive amount of ledge at cemetery site, or the cost of developing the Estabrook site were too great, then we would be stuck and would have to redo this whole process again and delay us for another year. So that's why we have a non-binding.
Okay, so you will take into account the people's vote?
I will.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will.
Absolutely.
It's there.
That's what we're here for.
That's the
Well, it
whole
says
reason we did it that
non-binding,
way.
it could, that's why I'm asking. Because
It'll
at
be
the,
all open, it'll be
at the
everything.
August meeting, it sounded like the selectmen, along with the fire department, was really pushing the cemetery road, while that lady that was here showed that the poll that she had taken, I think it was at the June vote, was, majority was swinging towards Estabrook, so that's why I'm just asking.
No, it has to be, it's transparent. I mean, we're not gonna hide anything.
No, our previous public hearing, when we talked about it, I, for one, personally, would not welcome a fire station on Cemetery Road because half all the calls are gonna go right by my house afterwards.
Right.
However, is the study that the fire department has done showing where the growth of the town is and where the number of calls have been going shows that it should be out in that section of town. As we said, originally we were looking at a site on Pine Hill, and that's actually where the fire department originally wanted to be, but that site is unbuildable for us, so we dropped that one out of the running. And that's when the Cemetery Association came up to us and said that they had that parcel of land that they would offer to the town. So, but as far as the vote, as I said, I have a feeling that one way or the other, when we have a November vote, the people are gonna speak, rather loudly one way or the other. I don't imagine it's gonna be a close vote, but
But we do need a new fire station. That'll
Right,
work.
I said that the
New
last
fire
time.
Right.
We need a new fire station, and
So-
that's why I said it would be nice if we had to, put it on there, because if you put the vote up there, how we discussed last time, presented it as a new fire station, $6 million on Cemetery Road, and the people said, I don't want it there, you got no fire station. So I'm really glad to see, I hurried in to get my absentee ballot so I could see exactly how it was worded, and I got home and I said, well, I'm glad that's what they're doing.
Right.
They are polling the people to see where they want. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
thank
We
you.
appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Mike Willett, Route 236. On Article 5, how much of the cost is for the fire department and how much is for the renovation of the police department?
The
250,000 for the fire.
250,000 was the architect's estimated cost for the renovation work.
At the police station.
At the police station,
Yeah,
okay.
at the police station. The chief and I and a bunch of other people think that's way over the top. What we asked for them to give us, I can't fathom it's gonna cost that much money.
Well, I spent all day out there, half the day there. And I'll tell you, the police could use new siding, they could use buff
Yeah,
guard. There's a lot
well.
of stuff that can be done at the police station, believe me.
Yeah.
That's originally, we had discussed having a public safety building, and combining the police and the fire. But, talking with the architects and the engineers, that would have added another $3 million onto the cost. And, when I started this process, talking about this a couple of years ago, I was hoping that we could get away with, something around maybe $4.5 million. But with the cost of materials and labor going up and things is, gone up to $6 million now, and we need a new fire station. And, I think that, the people in town will support us, but if we put a bond out there for $10 million, I don't think it would pass. That's why we broke it out. The police chief, has said that, he's satisfied with his building. The upgrades at the police station, the biggest concern is they have no place to secure prisoners when they bring them in. So they want to take what was the gym at the Doran School and turn that into a sally port where they can pull the cruiser in and have a secure area where they can take the people out and secure them while they're being processed. So, that's a lot of the renovation at the police station. There will be some upgrades of electrical and things like that. We have problems with the electrical service now. It comes in through the old building still, and we need to get that taken care of no matter what. So. Questions, comments, curses? You guys all didn't come down here just to watch us, I'm sure. So, as I said, for me personally, living on Cemetery Road is, you know, having half the calls go by my house wouldn't be pleasant probably. But is the study the fire department did shows that that's where the growth in the calls are. So is moving it out that way, you know, seems like the logical thing.
Is there an extra study done? Who's Dennis?
Yeah, it's
So they
same,
they
same,
actually had a study.
yeah,
Sam
same,
Tibbetts took all the calls over the
For
last
5 years.
5 years
right.
and put them on a spreadsheet on location. And you can see over the years how, because Berwick has been spreading out in that direction, that's where a good number of the calls are. And they want to be central, which is, that is central out on Pine Hill or Cemetery Road. So, and the other concern that they've had is if we build down here, we probably will never see it, but down the road, you're gonna have to build a substation because it's too far out. And all our personnel are gonna be in one spot. So, and that's, we're trying to avoid that
I'll get Terry after you.
for the future for Berwick. We don't feel that that's necessary. So,
So if there is any question about whether we need a fire station, is I invite you all to go over someday and take a look at it. You know, is the station was built 50 years ago. Is it's never really been maintained properly in all those years. Is we spent how many tens of thousands of dollars on mold remediation in the last several years?
we've spent, since I've been here, we spent $25,000 just to remediate, and 2 years prior to that, you'd spend about the same amount of money. And you have old rock and foundations, and,
Yeah,
and
but
it's,
it's
and
great.
it's coming
A
back.
great old building. Make a nice restaurant or
Yeah.
something like that, you know,
Make a nice demolition job.
pot shop. Put a pot shop in there.
You know, and you know, and that is something that, you know, I had advocated before. You know, is when we build a new fire station, is the sale of that property. I would like to see go back into this bond, you know, to pay it down, you know, rather than go into the general fund. And you know, and personally, the same thing with the Estabrook property. You know, if we sold that, I would like to see, you know, if we didn't build a station there, is take that money and put it back into, you know, pay the bond down, you know. So,
Kathleen Campbell, with Lily Lane in Berwick. A couple of times now, I know when we first did the police station, we talked about a community center, and we recently had a purchase made for a community center. Is there any plan to create a community center or a senior center in an association with any of the town hall, police department renovations or the fire station, or any plan going forward for that? I had also heard around town people were talking about the Estabrook maybe being some senior citizen housing. Is there anything like that that's being considered?
Yeah, we had talked about, you know, using the gymnasium at the Doran School as a community center, and that was, 8 years ago or so, I think, when that was first brought up. And since then, we purchased the old Magawanda sober home site, and we had discussed doing a fundraiser to put a community center there. But recently, been in discussions, and we have a meeting on Thursday with the people at the House of Hope that bought the old Catholic Church, Our Lady of Peace. And we were talking to Mike yesterday, actually, and they're moving forward and doing a fundraiser to do like a community center there, and he wants to partner with Berwick. They just got a huge donation for
They've
it.
raised already 400,000
Awesome.
donations.
And,
That's great.
and we have a meeting on Thursday morning with Mike, you know, to discuss how the town can partner with him.
That's changing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, none of us, it's
No.
conflict, so we're doing it after the election.
Okay.
But we are going to have discussions with them.
And the Estabrook was mentioned to me about
Is
housing.
3 years ago, there was actually a ballot question, you know, asking whether the people would, sell the property for a negligible amount, actually, of the Estabrook for, there was Portsmouth Housing,
Yes.
Yeah.
Is, and they were looking at putting
Elderly.
age restricted
55 and up.
55 and up unit in there, but they didn't get their funding. And,
Which
so-
is really good for us, because, you know, if we sell the land, the fire station goes up in the hill, the land's valuable.
so,
We sell it, we,
Yeah,
But-
it's just a nice location for senior housing with all the development that
Yeah.
might be happening.
It-
yeah, it could be very good.
It'd be
and
very
and that's one of the things that we've been working on through Envision Berwick. They've been doing the age-friendly,
Yeah.
you know, housing, and,
Vista Housing has been out to look at it, and it's on their radar. So I'm hoping that they'll come back to the table, and once we settle where the station's going. But,
But they gotta have a deeper pocketbook
Yeah, they've
on
good.
that lot.
so,
Okay, thank you.
not a problem.
Tony Sincotta, Cranberry Meadow Road. Can you tell me what the cost difference would be between the location at the Estabrook School versus the 6.2 acres on Cemetery Road?
Is our first estimate is actually the Cemetery Road site is about $100,000 cheaper. And that includes extending the water line up and taking care of that section of the road. Is on the elementary school side, is that includes the demolition and cleaning that site. They would have to do hazardous waste abatement first, the lead and asbestos and all that kind of stuff. So our preliminary estimates are just about equal.
Having grown up in Berwick and having lived here for 84 years, that school, if I remember right, was built in 1948.
Yep.
I apologize, 47. Anyway, as I recall, as a young boy, a lot of ledge there. That's why the Estabrook School was this
Sets
way,
up,
and
right.
while the rest of the stuff was that way. Plus, there's some wetlands there. You said it was $100,000 cheaper to go up on Cemetery Road?
Preliminary estimates, yes.
Okay, I think everybody here, at least those people with an IQ above room temperature, would agree that we definitely need a fire station.
Yes.
Okay? The town has spent a lot of money on that survey, did they not, to do the survey? Can you give me an idea how much that cost?
Survey.
You mean to just
Just to get
about
to
the
where we
different
are,
sites?
about 35,000.
$35,000. Nobody wants a fire station probably in their backyard like they don't want a nuclear plant in their backyard. But the survey showed, again, I just want to emphasize this, that the population is moving in that direction. You mentioned, sir, about the substation.
Yeah.
That isn't cheap either.
No, no.
So that'll be probably something that will happen. The land at that the cemetery owns across the street from the chapel, which is 6.2 acres, has been appraised. We think that the price is right as far as our negotiations. Am I correct?
Well, a little bit lower wouldn't hurt, but but it's a very fair price, yes.
A few years ago, myself and I think it was Ron Vigil and a couple of other people sit on a committee on this very same subject. We traveled to Madbury, we traveled to Barrington, and we traveled to Lee, New Hampshire, because there were, like you said, public safety buildings where the fire station and the police station were one. We'd spent a lot of time, a lot of money on architectural stuff, a lot of money. And then when we came back and we finally figured it out, it was going to cost, I think you said was right, around $8 million.
Right.
The voting public didn't want that. So now here we are again, several years later, and it's the old story. You pay me now,
Right.
pay me later. Thank you.
Did you get a mailing, Tony?
Finally did.
Okay. I tried calling and didn't get an answer, so I want to make sure you knew about it. I was happy to see you were here.
The town clerk made sure I got them.
Is, you know,
You
and,
can't, you know, the fire station has been, you've been pumping a lot of money into that building and it's wasted,
right.
okay? Can we get those trucks, those brand new trucks cheap in there? Bailey.
Yeah.
The majority will decide.
Yep.
That's what our country's all about.
You know, you talk about, you know, when you were on the original committee, it must have been close to 10 years ago now, isn't it? Yeah. Is,
It was back, well, tell me, what was it, Eleanor?
well, you know,
Oh, $9 million. Well, there's a little slippage on my part when you get to be 80.
but you know, at that time, though, as you said, we were looking at a public safety building, and also at that time we had a purchase and sales agreement for the parking lot on Wilson and Sullivan Street, part of the.
For 75 grand.
Is,
We appropriated the money, we didn't buy it, we should have bought it.
yeah, is we appropriated the money, we voted for the money, and the town never purchased it at the time.
Uh-huh.
But is you know.
We got a parking lot up there where Magawanda was, we put $200,000 in there, am I correct?
Yeah, there's not enough room for a fire station, unfortunately, unless we
No.
take the ball field
No,
too, and
no.
I'm not gonna fight with Recreation too.
Well, Tony, I was at the parking lot Sunday, talking to the people that were pulling in, and they're really glad it's there. We really need the room. They're all happy about it. I haven't heard one complaint.
Good.
The people I talked to there. So
It's not gonna get any cheaper, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm saying. We should be doing something now,
right, we are.
because that building is not safe, as far as I'm concerned, for what goes on in there. The chief has brought that out, I don't know how many times,
The last 10 years at least.
10 years.
Is,
Thank you.
you know, and I also want to say is the design for the new fire station. You know, as I said, we were looking at a public safety building, and is when we build this, it will be designed so that in the future, if we need to, we could put an addition on it for the police department. You know, so is that we are thinking into the future that way. Yeah. So as Mark said, the building they're in, you know, is adequate for now, but it's only a matter of time, you know, before we need to be looking at, you know, doing something there also. Any further questions, comments, curses? I'll speak to you. I'll speak to everybody in television land. As November 6th is the vote. It's important that we all get out and vote. As you know, there's several important issues that we need to decide on in the town, and you know, do your homework. Ask questions, and you know. My number's in the phone book. Oh, do they even have phone books anymore? Most people can get a hold of me one way or another if you have any more questions.
Or call the town office.
Yeah.
I can answer your questions.
Any further? Going once? Going twice? I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, everybody. If you guys want to clear the room while we continue the rest of the meeting, or you're welcome to sit through the rest of the meeting if you want.
Thank you.
Good meeting. Yep.
Yeah, just,
Is
that mostly firemen?
Brings us to our next item is reports of committees. Is Berwick, BCTV, they've done their report. And Envision Berwick, I don't believe we have anything from them.
Traffic study, that's kind of part of them, but
No, if you want to speak about it.
we are doing a traffic study that's going to take 8 to 9 months, all for this downtown area. The engineers came up yesterday, last night, and met with the business community that surrounds this area, and Tom was there. It was an excellent meeting. The engineers were quite surprised that they had a lot of ideas, and they actually spoke to the engineers versus the engineers speaking to them. So I thought it was a very good meeting. It's going to be a difficult study, I think, to come up with how traffic can move through this area with what we have going on here and everything else. But it was a
Change Maple Lodge Street, that's all I'm saying.
Oh, we're going to make that the throughway.
When we get out of my driveway, we used to, it was terrible.
We're gonna widen it and call it Ellen's Way.
No, we have Eleanor's Way right here.
well, they're looking at parking, because some of the businesses downtown were saying it's very schedule-wise during the day. Some people are there, but at night there aren't. But then you have the new brewery, which is keeping very busy and taking up a lot of parking. So when we work with a developer on this site, we really have to focus on making sure we have enough parking.
I'll be standing right out there watching my street, corner of Rochester, Maple Lodge.
Okay.
Bibber Home hasn't moved, right?
No.
I know he's looking for another spot in town,
Yeah, he was.
and he still is.
He still is.
Yep.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was- Yep.
But that's
That was so handy.
that's an offshoot of the Envision.
Carry on a bag across the street or what?
If the-
All right.
Always looking to save money, aren't you?
We're going into department reports. Public Works. You're up, Robert.
I didn't have to pull teeth too hard to get him here, so.
We're finishing up our summer work now, getting ready for winter. We had a lot of culvert replacements and a lot of ditching to do. And we only keep up with the problems that we get called on. We don't do nothing that we want to do or need to do. So we're lucky to handle all the complaints, that we have and get that stuff done. And we do keep up with it, but it's pretty tough. We're getting our stuff ready for leaves. That's our next thing, cleaning out some of the ditches where the leaves create issues and backups and washouts, and clean up the cemeteries and some of the town properties with that. And then the plow equipment, we're working on that. We got everything ready to spread salt with. Tried out all the trucks, everything seems to be working pretty good now. We just got to put the plow equipment on them, and that's where we stand at this point. So about 3-4 weeks ago, we hired a new mechanic, and he's been going over the trucks, getting familiar with them, greasing them up, and trying to find problems that's going to be giving us issues. So far, our prior mechanic kept up with it pretty good, so there's not a lot of things to,
Normal wear and tear.
normal wear and tear and stuff corroding. That's about it. we've had illness going through our shop last couple of weeks. We've lost somebody for 4 days, and now we had somebody out for 2 days.
Well, then get out of here. I don't want to be sick.
Well, hey, you asked me to come down, so, and hasn't been me yet, so hopefully it stays that way. But a couple weeks ago, I was visited by the DEP, inspecting our underground tanks, and for the most part, it wasn't too bad.
They didn't shut you down.
No, they didn't shut us down. They found some issues. I actually had a guy down today. He went over some of them. Pretty much told me they didn't know what they were talking about. I called the state, and they said, yeah, okay. We do have to fix a couple of things. Also, our tanks are up for replacement next year. They're 30 years old. That's in the ground now. I know when I came here over 20 years ago, we did some work around those tanks to bring them up to date then.
What's the cost of that?
We're working on that. We're looking at two options. We can get a 10-year extension, but that comes with a cost also. So we're working on the cost right now, getting that compared to changing them out.
What if we just put a big above-ground tanks in? I mean, above-ground tanks.
Well, the tank company pretty much said, obviously, that we're going to have to take them old ones out. We're going to have a hole in the ground.
Okay.
Why not? You know, because it's going to be an eyesore pretty much out front there where it is now, unless we move it somewhere.
Yep.
And I kind of agreed with that.
Whatever the less expensive way, I was thinking. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, the 10-year extension is really the cheapest, but in 10 more years, we're going to have to face this again.
Right, the cost will have gone up.
In 5 years, we got to test every year for the last 5 years.
What's that
every
cost?
year we got to do a test. $2,500 right now.
Jeez.
Yeah. So we're working on that with the tank company. I'll want to bring that stuff forward to the
Who are
town.
you using for tank company?
Portland Pump right now.
Portland Pump?
Yeah. So we'll see. I didn't see no emails from him today either.
No.
So I'll get on the phone and.
Why don't you check GAF-Tech too?
Who?
GAF-Tech. GAF.
Well, if we decide to go out with a tank, we'll have to put it out to bid anyway. So, you know, let's just get a rough idea. They're familiar with what we have.
Okay.
They liked what we have for the 10-year extension. You know, things are in pretty good shape, really. So, that's an option. You know.
Yep.
So we have that. So, and the only other thing too we're working on is the roads. Trying to come up with a plan. I'm working with the town manager on that. Trying to come up with a road plan. It's pretty scary what we have out there for roads.
Yeah.
And that's not going away. So we're trying to, you know.
We'll have something in November to give you a breakdown on those and how we schedule them to get redone.
Now, our paving's behind right now, correct?
Oh,
Are they
Yeah,
gonna be able to?
the company, Libby Scott, that was doing the work, took on, we think, too much work, and he's behind. He's just finishing up some stuff in North and South Berwick, but the temperatures dropped here.
I was gonna say, he's top coat, right?
Yeah, this is just a top
Make
coat.
sure the temperature's right or don't do it.
Yeah, and I've told Robert, and Robert's told him, if it doesn't get above 50 degrees, we're not doing it.
Is that what the hot top has to be at the
Yeah,
base?
has
the
to be
base?
above 50, otherwise,
The air or the base?
both.
Okay.
So we just don't spend the money, and we have it in the
Do it in
reserve.
the
Put it towards
springtime.
next year.
Yeah,
Two
it's
short
always
roads.
next year.
I mean, that's a good thing
Right,
about it.
right.
He'll have to, they cut some butts on those two roads to the left, Pond Road and Beach Ridge, and we'll just have to fill those in if we
Oh,
don't
they
get
already,
to,
they already
already cut.
planed them?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So we'll
they
just have
must
'em
plan on coming
filled
over,
in.
I mean,
Well, they do, but we need the weather on our side, you know, to do that. So
Yeah, we need good
I
binding.
mean, I think we're going to still have some good days.
Oh, yeah, of
It
course
all
we are.
depends on what their schedule is, pretty much. You know. I know one time when we paved, we had Pike down here, and we were pushing the limits. you
Yeah,
know,
we
it
ended up
was-
doing the
it was
intersections
cold.
over,
Yeah.
so I don't want to go that route again.
Right.
They backed it up, you know, they paid for it, but
Yeah.
it's time wasted, you know.
And I just want to put it out there, our part-time help, they've helped us in the wintertime, and they help us a lot in the summertime. And they really do a great job. That's what's kind of keeping us going. They've been there the whole time, and they're doing good, you know, so I count on them a lot. And we got a lot of work out there, so.
Has the new loader been ordered?
It has, it's
It's
about
shipped.
a week away.
It's shipped?
It's on the way.
Week away is what I was told
Yeah.
today.
And,
He's hoping it'll get here by the end of the week, but I don't think, it's coming up
Yep.
from South Carolina.
Is it?
So it's a 2019 for the same price. So it's,
Yeah, all the updates too.
yeah.
I knew that. Beat it.
That's all I have. That's just a little bit of what we do.
any more questions of Robert?
No, thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And now the fire chief.
Morning.
Evening.
How are you?
Yeah. We're still here.
Yeah, that's half the battle. Just to give you a little bit of an overview of the department operation since the first of the year. I think you all remember, we had about 32 on-call people. For a number of different reasons, we're down to 25. It's a constant battle that the department's struggling with. Thank God for our per diem program that we put into place back in July, which gave me 5 people that applied and 5 people we put on. Unfortunately, they have lives, they have families, and things start to change there as well. So right now I have 2, although I've had 2 of my on-call people offer to assist. So we're making the ends meet, but it is a good program. We're going to try to continue it as long and as effectively as we can, because it does work and works well. It's just getting the people. You might ask some of the reasons why people don't get involved with it, and I thought I'd have more, to tell you the truth, but I think there's a number of different reasons. New Hampshire, Maine being one of them. I don't have all those facts, but that's what I'm seeing. Anyways, make a long story short, we have the program in place. It's working well when we can get the people. Right now, the department's responded to pretty close 700 calls. And we
18?
suspect we'll probably end up hitting close to 1,000. Now, the majority of those are medical aid. But that medical aid is 4 to 6 minutes before the ambulance is getting there, and it's paying off for the residents, big time. A lot of comments from the people. So I think the department's come a long ways in providing that service.
Do they stay right at the station?
I'm sorry?
They don't stay right at the station, do they?
The per diems?
No, the medical aid thing you're talking about? The ambulance?
No. The ambulance comes from Somersworth.
Somersworth, okay, but that's...
But our people respond. We're there 24/7.
Oh, okay, so that's what you're talking, okay.
It's worked out real well. There have been a couple times where having one guy out there is a little tricky, but we're working with it, and it's the growing pains of a small community, which we are.
Well, it's also nationwide.
We've gone from volunteer to on-call people to a career department, where we now have 5 full-time people, including myself, and the 4 are working 24/7, and it's paying off. I think most people can see that. So
I know I've had, families and friends who, have had the medical response come and, as you said, your guys are always there several minutes before anybody else, and it really does pay off, so.
Yeah. One of the things that I will bring to your attention, and won't get into a lot of detail at this point, but I think you should know about it, is that the structure of the department has always been one way for years. A chief, assistant chief, deputy chief, captains, lieutenants. Now that we have paid staff on board, there were issues that came up through the whole process. Now I have paid staff and I have on-call officers who either can get to the call or they can't make it to the call. No officers show up, but I still got my paid guy over here who is there. So what we did is we changed the department structure to, at some point in time, not all of them at this point, but the paid staff will have officer qualifications, there'll be leadership qualifications as part of the requirement. And when they have that requirement, they'll end up getting promoted at some time to the position of captain. So all my paid staff will have a title. So when my call people come in, they know who to report to. It's like the incident command. That spot was missing, and it's part of the learning process for Berwick because we're growing. And these are the type of things that you run into. Constantly changing. It's really a challenge, but it gets frustrating as well. So that's a big issue. I think that issue was also brought up in the third-party review that they did several years ago with our rank structure. But that was a big part because people need to know who's in charge.
Right.
Now, not later. So, and the qualifications of my paid staff, most of them got associate's degrees, they've got the officer training that they needed. Some gotta go get it, but I think they're all in agreement they need it. So, any questions on those two things, per diem or?
I do know, I've talked to several firemen from other departments, you know, in the last few months, and, you know, I said more and more of the departments are going to the per diem, you know, because of the lack of manpower.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm not sure what it is. Like I said, I've kind of evaluated. We do recruitments, don't get a lot of applications. We'll do another recruitment here in a couple months. The time it takes for an individual to come on board and do the training and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning when you gotta go to work at 6, we've all been there. It's becoming more and more difficult. Just too much stuff going on. And anyways, so we are working on recruitment. Training, we're still doing our training programs. One thing that we have improved on is that we've gone online to a Fire Rescue 1 training program. There's an annual fee, but the training program can be done at your convenience, at your time, and you get certification for it. Not the same certification that the state would give out, but it's certification, training that we can accept, Maine Department of Labor accepts, and I'm finding that more and more of my people are using it. It's easier for them because they can do it at their leisure, at their time. And we've been doing that now for about a year. We're going to continue that and see if it works out. But that's a new change that we made. It seems to be overall working out well. We are, as a department, doing fire prevention activity. We just got done in the schools. We'll be going back into schools sometime in May with the smoke trailers. I have people during the day going to daycare centers, doing fire education. I think we've been to probably 6 different daycare centers in Berwick in the last 3 weeks. We've had to have our hose tested, our pumps tested, and all the stuff that needs to be done is getting done with the help of the town and the help of the residents and funding to do it. So, emergency management activities, we don't talk a lot about that. We're still working on the updating the plan, a plan that's been in place now for how long, Eleanor? 10 years? Constantly updating that. We also had the river drill, Salmon Falls Exercise River Drill here back in June. I think you're all aware of that. That final report has been issued, and we'll be meeting, I think it's Thursday morning,
yeah,
for a couple hours to go through all that, and then to take what we've got and start trying to work on correcting whatever things we need to correct. Actually, it was a good process. We probably should do more of those. We've also been working with the school district a lot closer. We've conducted some evacuations, and we're working with them and assisting them in updating their emergency plans for the schools. And that needs to be done because we need to know what they're doing, and I need to know, or somebody needs to know what the school's doing. So that process is ongoing. So that was the other thing. Other than that, I mean, it's just, it's going well, I believe, and, you know, we get complaints, and we respond to those complaints, and, that's about all I can tell you at this point, unless you have any questions.
How is dispatch working out now that we're moved? Have you
So
had-
far, you know, I was a little leery in the beginning because, like everybody else, I guess, I wasn't the only one. But for us in South Berwick Fire, being on the same frequency, American Ambulance is on our frequency, it's worked out fairly well.
Good.
The issue, because of the way we operate, will come about when we have a major incident. But I don't think that's gonna be a big deal either. But it's gonna be a learning process, just like we're doing every day. But as far as toning, giving us the information, giving us what we need for resources, as far as I'm concerned, it's been good.
What did you mean when you said a major incident?
I'm
What?
sorry?
You said it would show up when we had a major incident.
Well, what I'm saying is if I have a structure fire and South Berwick has a structure fire at the same time, we got 2 departments now going to do different calls.
Yeah, okay.
So we gotta coordinate with us.
I see what you mean.
Okay, and I think we've got that pretty well squared away.
Yep.
But the issue becomes dispatch. Are they gonna be able to do both departments at the same time? So there's some learning stuff,
They're
just all
supposed to,
new.
though, I believe. Aren't they supposed to be able to talk to multi?
Oh, I don't think it's gonna be an issue, but we haven't been tested yet.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I'm saying, I don't think it's gonna be an issue, but you're
Yeah,
right,
good.
and that's what I'm saying, it hasn't been tested yet. When it gets tested, and if there's issues, we address them. But overall, I think, you know,
Working
dispatch
good.
has done well.
Good.
You know,
They have a good setup over there.
yeah, and any problem I've had, I've called them, and they've taken care of it, so it's not like I heard before that,
And knowing that we have a set cost every year rather than, you know, wondering what to do with the budget, you know, is gonna help a lot.
yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, I don't know how Chief Town's making out with it, but I haven't heard anything, but
He said it's been going well for him, so.
I think, it was a good thing to do.
Any further questions?
No. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you and all
much.
your men.
Thank you.
That brings us to our next item, is appointments, presentations, and other guests. We have Dan Vincent for new code enforcement here. He is not here tonight. Is that gonna be an issue with either of you, or? No?
Just come next time.
All right.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right, so we have hired a new code enforcement, Dan Vincent. We have not appointed him officially, as he has to be confirmed as code enforcement, NFPA 101 Life Safety Code Administrator, Plumbing Inspector, and Building Inspector, with and for the town of Berwick, and the appointment is without term unless specified by law. And we need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Town manager, things
Yep.
have started out kind of,
Things are working out. He's here in the building, which has been really good. He's trying to clean up a backlog of quite a bit of work. He's got a pile on his desk, and James is helping him, and we have a floater that works with Patty, and she spends a little bit of time in there helping to get better organized. He's a little bit of a stickler for different things, so I'm getting.
I would hope
close.
so if he's doing life safety code.
Yeah, so it's a good thing.
Yeah.
The builders are having to adjust to that, but I think he's only been there 3 weeks, so actually 2 days a week. But he comes in, like he was in today, meeting builders to get occupancy permits and things like that. So he's really working, I think, well with builders. So I'm encouraged.
Good.
Good.
And he has the knowledge, which is really good. So.
all right, we have a motion and a second, and no further discussion. All those in favor? Thank you. And we have an appointment to a member of the Berwick Community TV Committee is Ralph Morang. As Ralph is here, you step to the mic, Ralph, and introduce yourself.
Ralph Morang, I live on Jordan Street. My wife and I moved here in 2002. I'm a photographer. I do some newspaper correspondence work and video work, and I've been shooting for BCTV since February.
Any questions of Ralph?
No, we appreciate you.
Oh, yeah, thank you
Appreciate it very much, thank you.
I've worked with Ralph in the last few months, and I have to say that he's very professional. As he does a lot of work, filming at the library. He films almost everything going on at the library.
Right.
And,
Those have been great. Those are
so-
great productions, yeah.
And things have worked out well, so. We have a motion
Yes,
Yeah.
so moved.
and a second.
For a 3-year term, right?
Yep.
All those in favor? Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to unfinished business. I don't believe we have anything pending. Is town manager report?
My list of things, I've talked about a few of them. The loader hopefully will be here by Friday or early next week. We're all set to get it on our insurance, and Robert's holding off on ordering any salt till he can move it. So once you get that, we'll order salt. We got a final closure from the EPA on the prime site, the 7.8 acres. That's officially been closed, which is a relief. And still haven't heard from Mr. Kahaya or Les Bogwell, but I'm hoping to hear soon. Already talked about the traffic study. And Dennis brought up the Salmon Falls River, the full-scale exercise they did. That was done well. Terry filmed it, so I got a chance to see it firsthand, and it had a few bumps here and there, but it was really good to see so many departments working together, and it seemed to go well. One thing I noticed coming in this morning that the police department has a drug collection on Saturday, so if people out there have old bottles of medicine they want to get rid of, come to the police station, they're collecting them. Otherwise,
Don't flush them down the toilet.
no, don't flush them down the toilet, no,
Please.
please. Monday, our new finance director will be here. He's going to have to acclimate to what municipal funding operates, but has a lot of good experience, and we're looking forward to having him on board. And once I get him here, he'll be at your first meeting of November. So, but if you're around, stop in, introduce yourself, or I'll introduce you to him. He's got
Still
good-
gonna miss Maureen.
Oh, yeah, we are. I texted her this morning, telling her that it was 32 degrees up here, and I hope she had a safe trip to warm weather. So she did an excellent job for this town for the 5 years that she was here.
Oh, yeah.
And she has left her office in such good condition. Anybody would
Step right in.
step right in, and Lisa has stepped up to fill in the void, and a little extra time here and there, but she's keeping up with it.
Lisa can do the job.
Yeah, I think she's finding out she may have, but she doesn't really,
Trust
she doesn't have
herself.
that passion
Yeah.
that Maureen had for numbers.
Yeah.
And John McLeod, who's coming, seems to have that passion.
Yeah.
He likes,
Yeah.
that's why he's leaving his job to come here, because the job he has doesn't challenge him enough, so.
Well, I hope he doesn't have too many challenges here.
No, we hope not. But you'll get a chance to meet him, and so I'm encouraged. But anyway, that's,
And he's stepping in a big pair of shoes.
yes, he is. Yeah, very big. But Maureen has actually been recruited by our auditor to work from Florida to do financials. He's supplying her with all the hardware, and
Really?
she won't have to come here. And he was always very impressed with her. And once he heard she was leaving, he jumped
Jump
on
right
it.
on the bandwagon,
And
huh?
he needs more help. He's so busy. So, otherwise, it's relatively quiet, except for complaint
Oh, you
department.
just jinxed yourself.
But, no, I'm not gonna jinx it. I already started on budget schedules today and yesterday, so I'm gearing up for that, so when John shows up, I'll hand that out in the next couple of weeks, so we're gearing up, another year. So next meeting, I will be asking direction from the board for the upcoming budget season, so I'll give you some highlights of what we're looking at. So, all right, that's it.
I have no communications this week. That brings us to accounts payable. We have water warrant 0915 from October 11th, 2018, the amount of $3,354.03. Account payable warrant 1915 from October 11th, 2018, the amount of $174,680.87. Payroll warrant 1916 from October 18th, 2018, for the amount of $49,561.22. A water warrant 0916 from October 18th, 2018, for the amount of $2,154.36. Account payable warrant 1916 from October 18th, 2018, for the amount of $53,020.76. And we have payroll warrant 1917 for October 25th of 2018, the amount of $66,299.47. And I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
Second it?
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor? Thank you. That brings us to new business. Maine Revenue Services 2018 Municipal Valuation Return.
It's an annual thing we do every year after we commit taxes. State Revenue Department likes to see all the statistics and numbers, and our assessor's done a good job putting it all together. I think the deadline is November 7th or 3rd.
Something like that, yeah. And for the general public, can you just explain exactly what we're looking at?
It's a report that the assessor does. It shows what all new value is for the town, how much we've grown. It takes into effect all the Betty and Better program funding. It comes to, looks at how much funding we have for the veterans, homestead exemptions, how we set the tax rate from all that information, and they just use that to load into their system. So when they do funding required needs for each community, they have all those new numbers. So
And everything seems to be in order?
everything
and-
seems to be in order. Yep.
Any questions for the town manager on it?
No.
No. We need a motion to accept the valuation return.
I'll make a motion to accept the valuation return. Is that okay?
As presented.
As presented.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. There we go. And poll petition. This the same one we had last time?
No, this one's
No.
different.
I was gonna say, it's in the same general area.
Vicinity. There's a lot of building going on up on Diamond Hill.
Yeah.
This is more for construction and maintenance of a bunch.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah, they're replacing a lot of them and adding new ones in. This is a pole on Diamond Hill Road between pole 245 and 246, I believe is what it is. Yep, 246. and adding a new one in between them. Any questions, comments?
No. I move we accept the Central Maine Power Pole permit as presented.
And I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor? Patty, I don't have a separate permit in here to sign.
Oh,
Is it all right to? Not a problem. Just the one place, yep. Thank you. Geez, it's gonna zoom. Is we have no quitclaim deeds or installment contracts.
Nope.
No abatements or supplementals.
None.
Second public comment. Second public comment. Please step to the microphone, state your name and where you live. Welcome back, Eleanor.
Okay, Eleanor Murphy. I just want to say to the member that lives on Cemetery Road about fire trucks. I live on Rochester Street, and I not only get Berwick fire trucks, I get Summersworth fire truck too. And as long as they don't stop at my house, I'm happy. Doesn't bother me a bit. But I want to say on the ambulance, I never had a complaint in all the years on the board when we had the old ambulance service. But just lately, 2 different people have told me about this ambulance service that we've got. And I just want to remind some of you, I think Ed might have been on the board, yes. When they chose that, I did not vote for it, because they came in, they wanted $39,000 a year, if my memory's right, and we were dealing with South Berwick too, and they came in less, and he just had a little conference sitting right there, and came back and said, we'll do it for nothing. Well, that, all of a sudden, boy, that lit up a light bulb. You bunch of jerks. And I voted against them. So I think we're paying for what we got. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Thanks, Eleanor.
Glad to have you back.
Have you had many complaints, Steve?
I haven't had any complaints. Nobody's called me.
I had just people telling me about that.
Well, it's under new management.
They weren't happy. And all that money goes overseas, you know. That's a foreign corporation. That doesn't set well with me either.
No.
I didn't know that.
Are you done, or can Tony speak?
Don't bring up anymore.
Tony Sincar again. Would it be feasible for the board to explore a possibility of putting an ambulance wherever the fire station ends up being?
Well, we have a bay for that.
Yeah,
We've planned for that.
Yeah.
The design that we were looking
design
at
for that?
is,
Yeah.
we're planning for that.
Well, it wasn't mentioned, that's why I wanted
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
Yep.
No, when the design the preliminary design, and I will repeat, it's preliminary, is included enough bays to have an ambulance there, but also for any future growth, personally, I'm looking to build a building that I don't have to worry about again in my lifetime, which may be short, but I'm hoping a little bit longer, but we're looking at a building that will serve Berwick for 50 years easily.
Let me ask you a stupid question. Where would the driver live? Would it be somebody in the fire department?
We don't know.
EMT type?
We haven't gotten that far yet. Had been talk with an ambulance service of there has been some talk about if we had the facilities, they may station somebody there.
Really?
But that's all preliminary.
Okay.
And
No.
things are changing with American Ambulance corporate has made some changes up here, and we're just kind of waiting to see, and that might be why you're getting some comments, but I haven't heard anything, and I don't think Dennis has either. Yeah. But there has been a change in management. Well, I've had a few cost complaints, but I can't control that.
I'd like to see some investigation on, I think there's potential to make money providing ambulance service from the town, as opposed to having an outside entity. I know some towns have already instituted this and investigated providing, ride service or an ambulance service of some sort, because the function of it, the job of a fire department is changing. It's more focused on medical calls today than it is on fire because of codes. So codes have made a tremendous impact on fires. Not that we don't need a fire department, we certainly do. But I think that there's a potential to generate a significant amount of revenue by providing an ambulance service and charge the insurance company the same way that American Ambulance is doing now.
What do we pay them anyway?
Well, it could pay,
don't pay them anything.
it could pay for the fire department. You know, so that's something I think that should be at least explored or investigated for that potential.
Good point. Good point, because, you know, you got somebody way up on the other end of Hubbard Road.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that if the fire department, depending on where the fire department goes, will also impact the insurance, homeowners insurance of the individuals that live close to it. So, and if it's in the center, then it affects the town as a whole better than it does if it's on one side of the town versus the other.
And your equipment makes a big difference in your insurance too.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So those are, I mean, I think those are all things that we need to investigate as time moves forward, or, you know, as potential improvements.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you have put that in the design.
Dennis, we've talked a little bit about that, going into that program, so I'll explore some more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you think a South Berwick ambulance couldn't make it?
Well, I think there's a better way to do it.
What, have their own, a town have its own ambulance or private?
Well, I think it should be explored.
They couldn't break even.
Well, I think,
Well,
again.
there's reasons for that.
Sure.
And I'll talk more about that. But
We have no executive session.
Nope.
We have no other business and non-agenda items. That leaves us with one motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Beautiful.
very good.
Thank you, everybody.
But I